Hey, what's going on, weavers? Tim here again, and we've all seen 2-color monkey's fists, but have you seen a 3-color monkey's fist? Well, we're gonna make one today, and here's how. So I've got 3 lengths of 550 paracord and a 1-inch steel ball for the core, and for one of the lengths you can shorten it if you want to save a bit of cord, and that's the first cord you're wrapping with. In my case, the silver gray strand will be a bit shorter. I'm going to place my steel ball in between my fingers and start wrapping my silver strand away from me, and I'm going to aim to have 6 strands on the front and 5 strands on the back, even though this is a 5-pass monkey's fist. Notice the running end finishing pointing upwards. Now there's a reason for this, and you'll see why in a bit. When that's done, I'm going to take my second color, in this case the red, and I'm going to lay it across the front of the 6 strands, and using some hemostats, I'm going to clip the red cord to the bottom left side of the silver strands. Then from there, I'm going to start wrapping the red cords around the silver strands, going perpendicular from the first set. And I'm wrapping from the bottom to the top. So wrap those strands around the middle, one by one, stacking each pass on top of the previous. Just work your way up and keep the cords neat and not overlapped or twisted. When you finish, you want to aim to have 5 strands on the left of the piece and 6 on the right. Now notice this time the running end finishes pointing to the back of the monkey's fist, or the side not facing you. From here, I'm going to remove my fingers from the passes and be very careful to hold everything together at this point, as it can fall apart. And my third color, the gray, I'm going to pass it through the top space from the front to the back, and then pass it through the bottom space from the back to the front. Then with the remaining cord, we're going to start wrapping the gray strand around the middle red passes going from the left to the right. Just wrap the passes like before, and if you have a marlin spike or a pen, you can keep the silver passes clear so that you can pass the cords through. Now, I know at this point, this looks like a mess of a flying spaghetti monster, but stay with me, alright? Do not be discouraged, we can do this. For this final set of passes, just make sure you have 5 passes on the front and 5 on the back. I'm going to start cinching out the slack of the silver strand, which is the first set I wrapped with. It doesn't matter which side you work the slack out to for now. Just pull the slack back and forth and work it out. Now don't pull too tight just yet, this is the initial tightening. Now see here, I've got a gray strand that's overlapped. I'm going to use my spike to rearrange the cords so that they're side by side again, something that might happen. Then I'm going to do the same with the gray, work the slack out, using a spike can help, and save your fingertips. But my fingertips are calloused enough so it doesn't really matter. Now again, keep all strands neatly stacked and not overlapping. Finally, work the slack out of the red strands with the same process. Just keep working it back and forth and out the running ends on either side. From there, you can go back and do the second round of tightening. The reason for doing 2 passes of cinching is to keep the passes evenly wrapped and neat. So now, what do we do with all these excess strands? See how my gray and red strands are coming out the same location? I'm going to work the slack of these 2 strands so that they're coming out these ends. These will be my working strands for making the keychain portion. So with the gray, I'm going to pull it almost all the way through. And with just a little left, I'm going to snip the tip off the cord, and then I'm going to melt it with my lighter. And while the end is still a bit molten, I'm going to use my spike to tuck it under the silver strand passes. Now keep watching because I did a better job for the following strands. With the running end tucked under, work the rest of the slack all the way out to the gray running end. Now be very careful not to yank the short gray end out of the monkey's fist. As for the red strand, I'm going to do the same. pulling the running end almost all the way to the monkey's fist. Then I'm going to snip the end off, melt with my lighter, and while still molten, pull it just under the gray passes. And then very carefully with a spike, tuck it further underneath if necessary. Now don't go too far. Then from there, work the slack out the running end to the other side. Now we have both ends of the red and gray ready. Finally, for the silver strand, or the first pass, I'm going to do the process one more time for one of the running ends and tuck it under the red passes and work the slack out. Then for the very final silver end, we can't pull it under the passes, so we're just going to snip off the excess, melt, and while it's still molten, use a spike to tuck it under the red passes. And we've now tied our 3-color monkey's fist. Now to finish this one, I've got a separate video on how to finish monkey's fists, but I'm going to go super simple and tie some snake knots, then attach it to a keyring with some cobra knots. If you want a more detailed explanation of this part, refer to my Squid Game monkey's fist video, as I went through that whole process there. I'll have it linked. So there we have it, weavers. There is how to tie a 3-color monkey's fist. This video is actually a revisit, as my older tutorial before wasn't the best, and I hope this one is much clearer and better. So I hope you all found it useful and interesting. I want to thank you all for watching, and a huge thank you to all my current Patreon supporters for making videos like this possible. If you want access to exclusive content and the Weavers of Eternity Discord, and want to support the channel directly, please feel free to check out my Patreon page. You can join for as little as $3 a month. You can also support the channel by liking the video, commenting, and subscribing. If you enjoyed the content here, please feel free to check out what I have to offer on the rest of my channel.